Hi, I'm Bob from Bob's Workshop. In this episode, I'm finishing a project. It's the little retaining wall that's connected with a plastic-filled pedestrian bridge across some tracks on my layout. Maybe if you were watching all along, you saw me carve it and glue it together and paint it. Today, it's finished because I've added some artificial turf, some ornamental grasses, and some pine trees. So here it is. What began as an idea after finding a sheet of insulation on the highway has now become the favorite part of my layout. I watched a few videos on carving styrofoam, and a few more on building dioramas, and a few more still about making scenery for O-gauge layouts. If you would like to see these steps in greater detail, I show the process in a few earlier videos. I think the painting was my favorite part. The part that I was dreading, or at least putting off, was the application of the green turf from Woodland Scenics. I wasn't too confident in my abilities here, and if I messed this up, then all the previous work could be ruined. The black areas are for my landscaping. The artificial turf will also be supplemented with ornamental grasses that I made from paintbrush bristles. And I'll also add a few repainted Christmas trees from Department 56. So, why am I using carpenter's glue instead of a white school glue to attach the grass? Well, once it dries, the yellow carpenter's glue is no longer water soluble, and I plan on applying a few washes of acrylic craft paint later on. I also don't like the idea of cleaning up a bunch of loose little pieces of fake grass every time I move this section, so I'll seal it with a diluted mixture of water and wood glue. It looks like a sloppy mess right now, but once this all dries, there won't be any loose pieces of turf. And I'll also be able to apply thin washes of tan, brown, and green. Before it completely dries, I'll come back with a paintbrush dipped in water to remove any unwanted grass and glue from the sidewalk and the stones. It took a full day, maybe even a day and a half, for the glue and grass to completely dry, and this actually doesn't look too bad on its own. But I want to make it look a little more realistic, so I'll start off with tan to cover up any of the black paint that's still peeking through. A darker brown later on should help to make these areas look wet and muddy. Not only is this fake grass never going to shake off when this is moved, but because it's actually a hard painted shell right now, it's also an excellent candidate for dry brushing. These are the ornamental grasses that I made earlier from an old paintbrush combined with superglue and spray paint. They will be pushed down into the styrofoam and held in place with wood glue, but I don't want to disturb the ground cover too much, so I'll drill a small pilot hole first, followed by a larger one, and then finish the opening with a screwdriver. Any of the excess wood glue that squeezes out can be cleaned up with a paintbrush dipped in water. These began as the snow-covered Christmas trees that you might find with holiday buildings from Department 56. After a little painting and TLC, they now have a more realistic look, and I have the perfect spots on my retaining wall for two of these.